questions 66 and 67 and 68 are asking about the end behavior for the diagram, and this is relying on the leading coefficient test. And of course, you could also just graph this and look at what the graph does, but technically the idea is that to find out what's happening on the right-hand side, you would look at your leading coefficient AN, and if that is positive, it would rise on the right. And then if AN is negative, then that would tell you that it falls on the right-hand side. And then from there, we can use the left-hand side to be determined by N. So N, again, is our degree, our exponent. And if our degree is positive, or excuse me, if our degree is even, then it's going to be the same behavior on the left-hand side as on the right. And if it is odd, then it's going to be the opposite behavior on the left-hand side as what was happening on the right. So when you look at a question like, for example, 68, you have 7x to the 6 minus x to the 5th plus, and honestly at that point it doesn't matter because all the other exponents are smaller. So really your leading coefficient is going, or leading term is going to come from 7x to the 6. So our right-hand side is going to be our AN. Our AN is positive 7. So that tells us that it rises on the right-hand side. Then for the left-hand side, we look at the degree. The degree is the power of 6. Because 6 is even, we would say that it's the same behavior. And that same behavior means that it is going to rise on the right-hand side. So we would say that this graph rises on the right and rises on the left as well. Okay. Now, if you graph this function, I think it's helpful to just kind of realize like what you're looking at here is the 7x to the 6 minus x to the 5th plus 5x squared minus 3. Okay. So if you put that all in and you hit graph, you see exactly what the end behavior is. So you don't really have to memorize this because what you could do is you could just say, okay, it rises on the right-hand side, it goes up, and it goes up to the left-hand side as well. So that would be a rises right, rises left. So again, there are ways to kind of work around this. What you have to make sure though is that the graph, there isn't more turns in the graph past the window that you see. So like for the question number 67, where you have negative x to the 5th minus 7x cubed minus 4x plus 1. When you put that in hit graph, you see a little bit of a different type of situation. There you see that the graph is rising as you go out to the far left, and it's falling as you go out to the far right. So if you were to work through question number 67, you would also verify this. So the leading coefficient or leading term is negative x to the 5th. So that tells us that on the right-hand side, it is going to fall because AN is a negative 1. So it falls right, as we just said from the graph. And on the left-hand side, your N is odd. And so I thought I was going to sneeze there for a second. So your N is odd, and so it's going to be the opposite behavior. And so that means that it's going to be rising on the left-hand side. Okay, so either way, just as long as you're able to look at the graph and know if it's rising or falling, or you can use the leading coefficient test to determine it.